Well, hi tubers. So this is the start of the 24 books of 2024. So this is starting in 2023, but I'm doing the first batch of recordings to actually upload in 2024. I'm recording these in Great Yarmouth because it's a quiet place, times I can really sit down and read and enjoy the silence, and I'm loving it down here. So I got this in a charity shop, 4 books for £1, which is kind of like my thing. Oh my god, 4 books for £1, yes. So it's the making of Pride and Prejudice, the making of the 1995 book TV show Pride and Prejudice, the 6 episode one, that starred Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy. That one, we all know the one. Okay, it's this one here, this one, right? This is not Pride and Prejudice. I'm not actually reviewed Pride and Prejudice. I'm not actually reviewed Pride and Prejudice, the book. Okay, by Jane Austen, but this is the review of the book of the making of the Pride and Prejudice TV show. It's quite an interesting insight too of how it's all done. I mean, costume dramas, period dramas are notoriously difficult. A lot of it was done on location, a lot of it was done on sets. I like some of the pictures in this, like you're walking past from the outside, it looks like a building. It's just a set, it's propped up by the back, it's made of wood. It's that level of detail. I mean, the TV version of Pride and Prejudice, the one done in 1995, pretty much launched Colin Firth to the stratosphere because, oh, okay. Okay, I'll just read the blurb. From the location in Wiltshire and Derbyshire, Pride and Prejudice, with its lavish sets and distinguished cast, was scripted by award-winning dramatist Andrew Davies, who'd also adapted Middlemarch for the BBC TV. I've not seen that. Chronicling 18 months of work from the original concept to the first broadcast, the making of Pride and Prejudice brings vividly to life the challenges and triumphs involved in every stage of production of this sumptuous television series. Follows a typical day of filming, including the wholesale transformation of Lacock village into the minutely detailed setting of Jane Austen's Meryton. Right. So it's interesting too because period dramas are notoriously hard to do. A really, really good example of this is North and South, another BBC drama which totally got no publicity. So Richard Armitage and Danielle Derby Ash and absolutely crashed the BBC website when it was first broadcast because it had no publicity. And Richard Armitage, this looked at, he played John Thornton, okay, based on Elizabeth Gaskell's North and South, that's the one. And look back at me, that one. So also there's things like Tipping the Velvet, another BBC drama, which is just iconic. It's based on a modern day book, funny enough. It's based on by Sarah Waters, based on a Victorian novel by a modern day author who I've met, and she's lovely, incidentally. So it just kind of shows how the inner workings of how the BBC drama was done and how it's not easy. It is not easy. They had a budget, first of all, and just various little tidbits and information, like this bit here. Right, here we are. The project may have been on hold, but the publicity wasn't. Andrew, as Andrew Davies, had been asked in an interview if what he was currently working on. He mentioned Pride and Prejudice, and in the same sentence the words sex and money. The tabloid newspapers needed no further encouragement. Sex Swamp Jane Austen hit the headlines. The new version, they confidently assured, will have full frontal nudity and daring sex scenes. No, of course not. For those actually seen that version of Pride and Prejudice, no, there is no. It's sex is there. Oh, sex is in Pride and Prejudice. Okay. Sex is okay. A good example is when Colin Firth, Mr. Darcy, jumps into the lake. By the way, he did not jump into a lake. A stuntman jumped into the lake, and then that bit of him in the lake was filmed at a set on the BBC. They won't actually have Colin Firth physically jump into a lake, and then but when he comes out, and she's like, "Oh, Mr. Darcy." Later on, when Jane is asking Elizabeth, "When did you fall in love with Mr. Darcy?" She's like, "When I saw his beautiful grounds at Pemberley." That's the sex, if you will. So can I talk about that scene quickly? I saw that, well, first of all, I saw that when it first came out. I covered Jane Austen as part of my degree when I was at uni. So I actually showed that scene. We actually discussed this in general, okay, the adaptations. And when they showed that lake scene, right, I actually put my hand up and was like, "Can we watch that again, please?" They actually obliged. When they cut back to us, we're all sitting there with these dreamy smiles like, again. Okay. So just little tidbits like that. It's a very, very interesting book. And one thing I absolutely love is, well, things like Jane Austen. Now, first of all, there's been so many versions of Jane Austen. It's been unbelievable. I mean, there's, so Jane Austen, there's Clueless, that's Emma. There's, what others? Well, there's been loads. Okay, there's Persuasion. There's Bridget Jones's Diary. There been so many versions of adaptations or updates of Pride and Prejudice or Jane Austen's work. You can't take Jane Austen for granted, and this I absolutely love. This is when this bit here, okay, was when they're talking to an American news network, entertainment network. So we're interested in putting 1 million into Pride and Prejudice. Can you tell me who's written it? Assuming they were prepared to invest so much money, they would have read the book. They would just know who had adapted it. I said Andrew Davis, and then added as an article from the novel. Novel? What novel? The novel Jane Austen. Oh, she's selling well. Oh yes, very well. How many copies has she sold? You mean altogether? Yes, it's publication. Since 1813. There was a long pause. You mean she's dead? Another long pause. She won't be available for book signings. That's from Sue Briswell in May 1995. Okay, so this American company wanted to put $1 million into Pride and Prejudice, and actually did, but they actually didn't know anything about Jane Austen. That's the thing, okay, but maybe because it was a BBC thing. Funny enough, they originally did not go to the BBC first. They went to ITV first, because BBC had done a version in 1980 of Pride and Prejudice, which I have not seen, by the way. It's a version North and South I have seen, not the Richard Armitage version. It's the one starring Patrick Stewart as John Thornton. Patrick Stewart with hair, John Thornton. You know, you're watching it and you're like, this ain't right somehow. You know, give me a ball in Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart's cool. Right. And when they talk about dramatization, bringing the drama to life, it's just these little nuts and little tidbits I generally enjoyed. I've had incorporated Jane Austen's work into this. Like when she's walked to Netherfield on foot because Jane is sick, so she goes. And this bit here, right? She looked almost wild, Miss Bingley comments, but the men respond differently. Bingley said, I thought she looked remarkably well, and Darcy comments that her eyes are brightened by the exercise. We know the benefits of going to the gym and things like that, so she's full of whatever chemicals are released by healthy exercise, and chaps unconsciously respond to it. That line is actually in the book. But what they do is when Elizabeth comes in, she's got mud on her hem, she's walked a few miles, her eyes are bright, her skin is flushed, she's had a workout at the gym, and the guys respond to that. It's that conscious thing, but that's captured in the drama. So they've taken the words and kind of given it a fresh twist to it that a modern day audience will understand. It's brilliant. Well, the TV show is brilliant too. Susie Conklin is a good illustrator of how visual storytelling can communicate as much about a character as literary description through a different way. During a tour of Pemberley, the housekeeper takes Elizabeth and the gardenias into the gallery, where they're showing a portrait of Darcy. Elizabeth smiles at it a long time, trying to put a picture of the former smiling Darcy together with the portrait she's made of him in her own mind. And then we cut to Darcy, who's looking, you know, with a beaten, strained and sweaty and late jumps. So, and how they also incorporated things, because in a way, Pride and Prejudice is, well, it is believed, and it's actually mentioned within this, it was possibly originally written to be an expository novel. That's a novel written through words. A good example, is A Love Letters to a Gentleman to his Sister-in-Law by Alfred Ben. So the earliest versions of novels were expository. They were done through letters, an easy way of communication. A communication in a way that everyone would understand, because back then everything was done through letter, right? But the entire thing, okay, with Wickham and Lydia is, of course, done through letters, but then Darcy comes in. So they had to, here you go. The other advantage of seeing Lydia and Wickham in London is that it provided an opportunity to dramatise Darcy's key role in making them marry. I guess it took a chance in a way and decided it was worth letting the audience guess that Darcy was on a mission of mercy. Right. In the novel we learn of Darcy's role putting things right much later, and then again through a letter, this time from Mrs. Gardenia. But I thought we would hold up the narrative story if we had to go into another letter so near to the climax of the story. It's absolutely clever how it was all done. And it also talks about the acting process too. I mean, they got some top tier talent. Now, Jennifer Ill, she played Elizabeth Bennet. She's also known, she's funny enough, reunited briefly with Colin Firth. She's in The King's Speech. She played the Professor Logue's wife. Okay. And yeah, I thought that was quite a nice moment. Okay, and some really top actor. Lucy Bryce plays Mary Bennet, who is the overlooked Bennet sister. Gosh, she's a beauty. Okay, Alison Steedman, classic actress. Everyone knows she's giving Gavin and Stacey. She's Mrs. Bennet. Love her. And one of my favourite actors, funny enough, is David Bamber, who plays Mr. Collins. He's fantastic. So, and Kristen Bonham Carter plays Bingley. Right. I want Anne Chancellor, also seen in Tempest of Velvet. Okay. Mrs. Bingley. Love her. Okay. Here we are. Sometimes an actor will audition for one part. We might offer something else. It happened with Lucy Davis, who we first saw her, that we worked much professionally. She auditioned for Lydia and we liked her very much. We offered her a screen test. It was obvious when she came to test she'd done a tremendous amount of work on the script we sent and very impressed with her. We still considered casting her, but she was too inexperienced. Okay. In the end, we decided to offer it to someone we not even tested, but who we felt was experienced, Julia Sawala. Right. So Julia Sawala never auditioned for Lydia at all. But they just gave her the part. They just called her and said, do you want to be Lydia Bennet? Whilst Lucy Davis, who auditioned for Lydia Bennet, played Mary Lucas. Huh. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Let's talk okay about the process, talk about the wigs. There are a lot of wigs in this, and then I would give full respect. Sometimes you couldn't even tell that. Sometimes you could for actors wearing a wig. No, I never really noticed who was wearing a wig and who wasn't. And also the process, the costumes, a little bit, okay, like David Bamber's hair. David Bamber's hair, who he's got a thick look of hair, but the way he styled it was styled. It looked like he would have a man having a receding line. He also made it a bit more odious, Colin. So the way he played him, okay, was slightly oily, slightly odious with the hair. However, I generally like his character. I generally like his character. And also Charlotte, she chose that man and she was happy. So, okay, it's been here. And like, oh, what they did to get to Lucy Briars. Meg was meant to be ugly, and there was a reference to bad skin, so he did put her through a little spot face. Lucy Briars was very game. She told us that her ears naturally stick out a bit, so we chose a hairstyle who would make them visible at all times. I was very cool with the front of the hair to make it look very plain. We used a bit of grease on the front so it looked unwashed. Oh yeah, they'd do that to her. Poor May Bennett, the unloved, unwanted May Bennett. So, also little in-jokes as well, not little in-jokes, little things that go on, because this went on for a very, very long time, that 3 babies were born during this thing. Birthdays happened. And this is an interesting thing, okay, just little tidbits and behind the scenes thing. And I love this. Okay, when I go to the ball at Lucas Lodge, right, I love this. I just need to read this out. When we tried to film the dance at Lucas Lodge, we rolled back the carpet and set off. Someone had obviously spent the night polishing the wooden floor and it all went slithering. It was like an ice rink. Someone said Coca-Cola would do the trick. So the quick sprint to the canteen and cans of Coke were poured on the spot and spread out with mops. When it dried, we began the scene again, and cue for the dancing was given. The piano started. We ran to the floor, and it all stuck fast. Right. I need to see outtakes. I need outtakes. Right. So, also it has a little thing, a little kind of like talk with Colin Firth as well at the end. Now, interesting too, because this is the book that really kind of launched Colin Firth to the stratosphere. However, at the time, he never even read Jane Austen. Now he's quite known for his period dramas. He's quite known for Pride. He's quite known, okay, for Bridget Jones's Diary. He is quite known as, God, he bloody made Poppins Returns. He's quite known. Oh, The King's Speech. He's won an Oscar. So, but this is the film that really kind of launched him stratospherically, and so that's why there's a bit at the end, okay, Q&A with him, and he's open with the fact that he didn't realise that this would actually define his career. There is an actual like outtake in Bridget Jones, because it's in the book as well, where Bridget Jones interviews Colin Firth and just wants to talk about Pride and Prejudice. Okay, yeah, I think I'm trying to find that, dig that out. Here we are. This bit here. Right. So he's talking about Darcy's arrogance, but when he arrives at the Meryton Assembly, I arrive, I'm terribly shy, terribly uneasy in social situations anyway. It's not a place I normally go to. I don't know how to talk to people, so I protect myself between a veneer of snobbishness and rejection. Mingley immediately engages with the most attractive woman in the room that makes me feel even less secure. It comes bounding over with a big enthusiastic smile and tells me I should be dancing. Right. I say, you got the best looking girl in the room, and he replies, never mind, what about the less attractive sister? This exacerbates the position I've put myself in. Then I say, she's a kid but not good enough for me. But what he's saying is, look, I'm supposed to be better than you, So don't give me the plain sister. I'm not even going to consider her. By keeping this in mind when filming, I found a scene actually played itself. No, next time you watch that, you'll be thinking that. So as a book review of a making, I enjoyed this. I like putting the headspace too. I mean, the 1995 Pride and Prejudice is, well, the BBC drama, the sixth part, is a classic. It's an absolute classic. And I don't think few have actually matched it in terms of style. Pride and Prejudice by Sue Birtwistle and Susie Conklin. Yes, I do recommend. And I'm signing off here. Bye now.